Dad, I think it's time for Brookdale Senior Living. Those words from my son David crushed this old Boeing engineer's heart. But here I am at 74, independent in my Portland home for just $500 a month. I'm Bob Mitchell, 74 years old, here in my Woodstock Craftsman home in Portland where my wife Margaret and I raised our kids. After 35 years designing aircraft systems at Boeing, I thought I had life figured out. Then Margaret died of cancer 7 years ago, and suddenly every simple task became a mountain. Last October, slipping on wet leaves while carrying groceries, grabbing my porch railing with shaking hands, I had that moment every senior dreads. This is how engineers end up in institutions. Maybe you've had that same terrifying thought. When does independence become impossible? I'm not alone in feeling this way. Not even close. According to AARP's 2024 Home and Community Preferences Survey, 78% of Americans over 70 want to age in their own homes, but only 34% believe they can afford to make it work. The average nursing home in Oregon costs $8,821 per month. That's more than most Social Security checks combined with modest pensions. Home care runs $28 per hour, and even part-time help quickly drains savings. If you're feeling trapped between independence and safety, between dignity and finances, you're experiencing what millions of American seniors face every day. This fear is real, and it's justified. Today, I want to share the journey that redefined everything for this old Boeing engineer. It didn't come from technical calculations, but from the painful realization that living with family can birth a new kind of loneliness, and that professional caregivers often cost more than aircraft parts. I had nearly lost hope, seeing nursing homes as little more than engineered prisons, until I discovered the final piece of the puzzle, the power of a community that costs just $500 to join, yet pays out millions in life value. By the end, you'll understand why traditional options failed someone with my problem-solving background, and you'll know the specific steps I took that work whether you're in Portland, Tampa, or anywhere in America. Let me start with what happened when David made that phone call. Discovery number 1 might surprise you, why living with family creates new kinds of loneliness. After David's nursing home comment, I thought, maybe family is the answer. My daughter Jennifer lives in Seattle with her husband Mike and 2 teenagers. Beautiful house in Queen Anne, spare bedroom with its own bathroom. Dad, you should have asked sooner, Jennifer said when I called. Of course you should come stay. That first week felt wonderful. Family dinners, laughter in the living room, my grandson Jake asking about Boeing stories. I thought, this is what I needed, people who love me. But by the second week, reality crept in. Jennifer and Mike both worked demanding jobs. The kids had school, soccer practice, friend obligations. I found myself alone in that spare bedroom most days, just like in Portland, except now I was alone in someone else's house. The small corrections started. Dad, could you use less salt? Your blood pressure. Dad, can you turn down the TV? Homework time. I understood completely. They weren't being cruel. But every comment felt like a reminder. You're a guest here. You're disrupting the routine. The breaking point came one evening when I overheard Jennifer on the phone with her sister. I know it's the right thing to do, Mike, but honestly, it's exhausting. I can't even run to Target without worrying. And you can tell he feels left out when we go to Jake's games. Those words hit harder than David's nursing home comment. Here's what I didn't know, and what most families don't understand about multi-generational living. According to Pew Research's 2024 Family Dynamics Study, only 12% of multi-generational households report very satisfied relationships after the first year. The stress affects everyone. 34% of adult children report increased anxiety about managing parent relationships alongside their own family responsibilities. The problem isn't love. It's logistics and psychology. Everyone needs their own space, their own routines, their own sense of control. When you move into someone else's established household, You're not joining their family. You're becoming their responsibility. As an engineer, I should have seen this. You can't just add a new component to a working system without affecting the entire design. The Seattle household was optimized for 4 people, not 5. But living with Jennifer taught me something crucial about maintaining family relationships as we age. After 3 months, I told her, "Sweetheart, I need to go home. Not because you haven't been wonderful, because you have. But I need to stop being a guest in someone else's life." Jennifer actually looked relieved. "Dad, I love you. I want you as my father, not my responsibility." That's when I understood the real solution to family relationships as we age. Step 1. Stay connected, not dependent. We now video call every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Jennifer shows me her garden progress. I show her my latest woodworking project. 20 minutes of pure father-daughter time with no household tensions. Step 2. Visit, don't move in. I visit Seattle for long weekends, usually around the grandkids, events. I stay in a nearby hotel, join family activities, then retreat to my own space. Everyone enjoys the visits more. Step 3. Contribute without intruding. I help with the grandkids, college funds, send care packages during their busy seasons, but I don't manage their daily lives or give unsolicited advice. The result? Our relationship is stronger now than when I lived with them. Jennifer calls me for advice because she wants to, not because I'm sitting in her living room. The grandkids are excited to see Grandpa Bob because I'm a special visitor, not a permanent fixture they have to accommodate. Jennifer told me something the day I left Seattle that I'll never forget. "Dad, when you lived here, I worried about taking care of you. Now that you're independent in Portland, I get to love you again." That's the difference between obligation and choice. Jennifer's words showed me that family love and daily caregiving are 2 different things. But being independent back in my Portland home meant confronting a harsh reality. I couldn't do everything myself anymore. Simple tasks were becoming dangerous, and pride wasn't going to prevent a broken hip. That's when I discovered why professional care costs more than the aircraft parts one used to design. Discovery number 2. Why professional caregivers cost more than aircraft parts. Back in Portland, I felt relieved to be home, but I also felt the weight of reality. My wrist ached lifting the coffee pot. I dropped things more often. Cleaning exhausted me in ways it never had before. One afternoon, changing a light bulb in the dining room, my hands started shaking. The bulb slipped. I grabbed the wall to steady myself, heart racing. This is how seniors end up in hospitals, I thought. So I researched professional care, not full-time, that felt too invasive, but maybe part-time help. I called Visiting Angels, explained my situation. Maria arrived the following Monday, mid-50s, warm smile, 20 years of experience. When she first walked into my kitchen, I felt awkward, a stranger touching my things, reorganizing my routines. But after a few weeks, I relaxed. She cleaned efficiently, prepared simple meals, ran errands to Safeway. We even talked sometimes about her own family, her concerns about her aging mother in Mexico. For a moment, I thought, this might actually work. Then the first month's bill arrived. Even part-time care, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, cost $2,408 per month. My Social Security covers $1,907. My Boeing pension adds another $2,200. After my mortgage, property taxes, Medicare premiums, prescriptions, and utilities, I had maybe $800 monthly for extras. The math was brutal. I was spending 3 times my discretionary budget on caregiving. Here's what most American seniors don't understand about professional care costs. According to Genworth's 2024 Cost of Care Survey, home care averages $28 per hour nationally. Even part-time care, just 20 hours weekly, runs $2,408 monthly. That's $28,896 annually. The median Social Security benefit is $1,907 monthly. Most seniors can't bridge a $501 monthly gap, let alone afford $2,408 in additional care costs. Medicare covers almost none of it unless you're homebound and need skilled nursing. The care industry knows this math doesn't work for most seniors, but there's no incentive to change pricing. Families either pay privately, exhaust their savings, or move toward institutional care. As an engineer, I realized I was trying to solve the wrong problem. The question wasn't, how do I afford professional care? It was, how do I get the help I need without destroying my finances? That's when I had my engineering breakthrough about the real problem. The issue wasn't Maria's performance. She was wonderful. The issue was that I was trying to purchase a relationship. Professional care provides services, not companionship. Maria cleaned my kitchen, but she cleaned it her way. She shopped for groceries, but not the brands I preferred. Small differences, but they gnawed at me. Here's what I learned about making professional care sustainable. Step 1. Be specific about actual needs versus wants. I needed help with heavy lifting, high shelving, and grocery runs. I didn't need someone to reorganize my entire routine. Being clear about this could reduce hours. Step 2. Supplement, don't replace, your capabilities. Instead of 4 hours daily, I could hire help twice weekly for the tasks I absolutely couldn't manage safely. This reduced costs to $896 monthly, still expensive but manageable. Step 3. Find local independent caregivers. Visiting Angels charged $28 per hour. Local college students or neighbors might provide grocery runs and light housework for $15 to $18 per hour. Not trained nursing, but adequate for my needs. The breakthrough was realizing that I didn't need professional caregiving. I needed practical assistance. There's a difference between someone trained to manage medical crises and someone willing to help with groceries and light bulbs. But even with this realization, I was still looking at nearly $900 monthly. For a retiree on fixed income, that was unsustainable long term. I told Maria on her last day, "You're a wonderful caregiver, but I can't afford wonderful. I need to find sustainable, not perfect." She understood completely. Professional caregivers know their services price out most of the people who need them. Maria's departure left me facing the same problem with a lighter bank account. That's when David called with what he considered the logical solution. "Dad, maybe it's time to seriously consider Brookdale. You could get professional care, meals, safety, everything you need in one place." I agreed to visit, mostly because I was running out of alternatives. What I discovered about nursing homes would shock any engineer who values freedom. Discovery number 3, why nursing homes feel like engineering prisons. David researched facilities near Portland and found Brookdale Senior Living in Beaverton. Clean, professional medical staff available 24/7. $8,500 per month, but it included everything: meals, housekeeping, activities, transportation. "Dad, just try it for 1 month," David said. "Think of it as an extended hotel stay with support services." The day I moved in felt like checking into a hospital when I wasn't sick. My room was small but clean, nothing like my Craftsman home with Margaret's garden and my workshop in the basement. A single bed, small desk, institutional furniture. Functional, not personal. The first few days weren't terrible. I met other residents, played cards, joined conversations about the old days. The dining room served decent food. I thought maybe David's right. Maybe this could work. But by the end of the first week, I felt trapped in someone else's schedule. Every day began the same way. Wake up at 6 for breakfast prep, then sit down to eat at exactly 7:30, not a minute earlier or later. Morning activities started promptly at 9. Optional but encouraged, they said. Lunch came at noon sharp, followed by afternoon programs, bingo and crafts at 1:30. Dinner arrived at 5:30 like clockwork, and by 8 o'clock, it was quiet time with TV volumes turned down. Then came the part that broke me. At 9 p.m., the hallway lights dimmed, and if staff saw light under my door, a nurse would knock. I'm a night owl. For 74 years, I've read until midnight, sometimes later. But here, if staff saw light under my door at 9:30 p.m., a nurse would knock. "Mr. Mitchell, it's time to sleep now." Time to sleep. I'm 74 years old, and a stranger is telling me when to go to bed. Here's what the nursing home industry doesn't advertise about their real costs and restrictions. According to Genworth's 2024 survey, the average nursing home costs $8,821 monthly nationally. In Oregon, it's closer to $9,200. That's $110,400 annually, more than many people's entire working salaries. But the real cost isn't financial. It's autonomy. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that seniors who move to institutional care experience a 40% decline in self-directed activities within the first 6 months. The structure that provides safety also eliminates choice. The facilities call it assisted living, but I realized it's really managed living. Every decision, from mealtimes to bedtime, is optimized for staff efficiency, not resident preference. As an engineer, I understood. They're running a factory for senior care, not a community for senior living. But the final straw came on a beautiful October evening when I tried to step outside. Portland was having one of those perfect fall nights. Cool breeze, clear sky, the kind of evening Margaret and I used to walk around Woodstock just to enjoy the neighborhood. I headed toward the exit around 7:15 p.m. A staff member stopped me. "Mr. Mitchell, outdoor time ended at 7 p.m. Safety policy." Safety policy. Those 2 words became my prison sentence. I explained, "I'm not confused or wandering. I just want to enjoy the evening air." "I understand, but we can't have residents outside after 7 p.m. insurance liability." That's when I realized I wasn't living at Brookdale. I was being warehoused. Every policy was about risk management, not quality of life. The worst part? I wasn't even that sick. I could walk, think clearly, manage my medications. Yet here I was, living like I'd lost all capacity for judgment. My roommates snored like a chainsaw every night. When I requested a room change, they said, "We'll see what we can do." Nothing changed. After 3 weeks, I called David. "I'm leaving." "Dad, you said you'd give it a month." "David, this isn't living. I'd rather struggle at home than be comfortable in a cage." The day I walked out of Brookdale, the October sun felt brighter. The Portland air felt fresher. I was free again. But I was also back where I started, home alone, needing help, with no sustainable solution. I told the Brookdale administrator as I checked out, "You run a fine facility for people who've given up their independence. I haven't given up mine yet." That's the choice nursing homes force, safety or freedom. I choose freedom. Freedom felt wonderful for about 3 days. Then reality returned. I still couldn't safely clean my gutters, still struggled with heavy grocery bags, still worried about slipping on those October leaves. I tried family, professional care, and institutional living. Nothing worked sustainably. I was walking through Woodstock, feeling defeated, when I witnessed something that would solve my problem in a way this engineer never anticipated. Discovery number 4 will surprise you. How community costs $500 but pays millions. I was walking past Woodstock Elementary around 3:15 p.m. when I saw my neighbor, Sarah Williams. I knew her vaguely, single mom, worked at Nike, daughter Emma in 1st grade. Sarah was pacing on the sidewalk, phone pressed to her ear, clearly stressed. "Mike, I can't leave work early again. My boss already made a comment last week about my schedule." She hung up, looked like she might cry. I'd seen this scene before, working parent trapped between job demands and child responsibilities. Without really thinking, I walked over. "Excuse me, Sarah. If you need someone to pick up Emma, I'd be happy to help. She looked startled. Oh, Mr. Mitchell, I couldn't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. I walk past here every day anyway. What's her name? Emma. First grade, Ms. Rodriguez's class. I'll be here at 3:15 tomorrow. That's how it started. The next day I picked up Emma, bright, chatty 7-year-old who immediately started telling me about her reading assignment. We walked the 6 blocks home together, her small hand occasionally slipping into mine when we crossed streets. When Sarah arrived at 6 p.m., she knocked on my door with a covered plate. I made extra lasagna, please take this. I tried to refuse. Sarah, you don't need to. Mr. Mitchell, you're helping me, let me help you. That simple exchange changed both our lives. Here's what researchers have discovered about intergenerational relationships that most seniors never realize. According to Stanford's 2024 Center on Longevity study, intergenerational community relationships reduce senior isolation by 73% and improve cognitive function significantly. Children in these relationships score 23% higher on empathy assessments and show better emotional regulation. But the financial benefits surprised even this engineer. The study found that informal community support networks save families an average of $1,847 monthly in professional childcare and senior services combined. The magic isn't in the money saved. It's in the value created. Professional services meet needs. Community relationships fulfill purposes. Sarah didn't just need childcare. She needed someone who cared about Emma's well-being. I didn't just need assistance. I needed to matter to someone again. Here's exactly how our community system works and why it costs me $500 but pays millions in value. The daily routine. I pick up Emma at 3:15 p.m. from Woodstock Elementary. 15-minute walk home, during which she tells me about her day, practices spelling words, or asks questions about everything from airplanes to why leaves change colors. At my house, we do homework at my kitchen table. I still remember algebra and can help with reading comprehension. She gets a healthy snack, usually fruit and crackers, and I get the joy of watching a young mind work. Sarah arrives by 6 p.m., often bringing dinner for both of us. Homemade soup, casseroles, sometimes just extra portions from whatever she cooked for Emma. The weekend arrangement. Saturday mornings, Emma sometimes helps me with light garden work, mostly chattering while I weed. Sunday afternoons, I sometimes help Sarah with household repairs. I know my way around tools, and she appreciates having someone who can fix a leaky faucet without calling a plumber. The financial reality. Sarah saves $800 monthly on after-school care. I spend about $500 monthly on extra groceries, occasional treats for Emma, and gas for the few errands I run for Sarah. But the real calculation isn't financial, it's emotional. Emma draws me pictures of us walking home, always with a big Portland sun in the corner. She tapes them to my door. When I had a cold last month, Sarah brought homemade soup, and Emma made me a get well card. This is what professional care can't provide, the feeling that you matter to someone's daily life. Sarah told me last week something I'll treasure forever. Bob, you've changed our lives. I was drowning before you showed up. I smiled and said, Sarah, you've given me something I thought I'd lost, a reason to get up tomorrow. Let me review what this old Boeing engineer discovered about aging with dignity. Discovery 1. Living with family creates new kinds of loneliness. Everyone needs their own space and routines. Stay connected, not dependent. Discovery 2. Professional caregivers cost more than aircraft parts. Even part-time help runs $2,400 monthly, more than most seniors can sustain. Discovery 3. Nursing homes feel like engineering prisons. They prioritize safety over autonomy, creating managed living instead of community living. Discovery 4. Community costs $500 but pays millions. Intergenerational relationships provide purpose and assistance that money can't buy. The pattern became clear. Traditional options treat aging as a problem to be managed. Community treats aging as an opportunity for mutual support. Remember that October afternoon when David said, "Dad, I think it's time for Brookdale Senior Living." Yesterday, Emma drew me a new picture. It shows the two of us walking home from school, but this time she included Sarah, my house, and her apartment building. At the top, she wrote in 7-year-old handwriting, "My Portland family." My Portland family. Not my neighbor who helps out, not my childcare arrangement, my family. Sarah brought me homemade clam chowder last weekend when I had a slight cold. Emma insisted on making me a get-well card with a drawing of an airplane because Bob makes flying machines feel better, so airplanes make Bob feel better. This morning, walking to Stumptown Coffee, I realized something. I'm not just surviving in my Portland home. I'm thriving. I matter to Emma's education. I contribute to Sarah's peace of mind. They contribute to my sense of purpose. At 74, I've discovered that independence doesn't mean isolation. It means choosing who you depend on and who depends on you. Here's what I want every American senior to remember. You still have valuable skills to offer: time, experience, wisdom, patience. Age doesn't make you worthless. It changes what you have to give. Don't assume traditional options are your only choices. Look around your community. Ask yourself, what can I still offer? Who might need what I have to give? Maybe you're good with children. Maybe you're good with finances. Maybe you just know how to listen. Someone in your neighborhood needs exactly that skill. This week, I challenge you to try one thing. Offer one small service to one neighbor. Walk their dog, pick up their mail, help with homework, see what happens. Your best years aren't behind you. They're just different than what you expected. If this story resonated with you, I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video. Tell me in the comments, what's your plan for creating community in your own neighborhood? I'd love to hear from seniors across America who are building these kinds of relationships. Share this with any parent or grandparent who might be facing these same choices. They need to know there are alternatives to the traditional path. Subscribe if you want more real stories about aging with dignity in America. Thank you for listening to this old engineer's story. I'm 74 years old. I live independently in Portland. And my best years aren't behind me.